The AFC East, once dominated by the Patriots, is now shaping up to be one of the most confusing yet wide open races this year. And in today's video, I'm going to uncover how the New York Jets will dominate this division, how the Buffalo Bills may finally break their playoff curse, as well as how the Dolphins will possibly finish in a shocking third place and miss the playoffs, as well as how there is a new face for the future in Foxborough. This is why the AFC East is wide open this season. Now, in first place in the AFC East, I'm going to go with the New York Jets. That's right, the team that hasn't won the division title in over 2 decades. They've also not mustered up a winning season since 2015, but this situation is very different. This isn't your typical 3rd or 4th place team. It's been said countless times before in the runner-up to last season and this, but if Aaron Rodgers can offer competent quarterback play, which I'm sure he will, this team will be a real handful for any other teams in the NFL. The 2,919 yards gained and 268 points the New York Jets scored in 2023 was good enough for 30th and 29th in the NFL respectively. And I mean, I don't really need to sit here and tell you how horrendous those numbers are, but it really does also emphasize how good this defense was. Because the fact that the Jets delivered that offensive output and still managed to secure 7 wins is a massive testament to their incredible defensive effort. For the 2nd year in a row, the Jets defense was a top tier unit, giving up the 2nd fewest passing yards at just 168 per game. The Jets also gave up the 3rd fewest yards on the season, behind only Kansas City and Cleveland, and the good news is most of those guys responsible for that output are returning. Cornerback Sauce Gardner and linebacker Quincy Williams were both named to the first team All-Pro, and Quincy's brother Quinnen was selected to the Pro Bowl after another stellar season at defensive tackle. PFF put New York as the #1 defensive line linebacker unit in secondary in their preseason rankings, which tells you all you need to know about the rest of the talent littering this roster. Like, I mean, look, this is elite defense right here, and we should expect something very similar to what we saw last year from this defense. However, the biggest factor for this team, hands down, is going to be health. Primarily the health of Aaron Rodgers. Now age 40, Rodgers is more susceptible to injury than ever before, and another quarterback-less season for New York might finally prove too much for the defense, who have been wasted away so far. Now, of course, the plan is for Rodgers to remain upright for all 17 games of the regular season and beyond. And while his injury last year was a heartbreaker, it did at least come early enough for him to fully recover in time for this season. And I mean, let's be honest, no quarterback was going to win behind that atrocious offensive line last year. This year, though, the Jets have addressed the issue head on, bringing in Tyron Smith from Dallas at left tackle, as well as Morgan Moses and John Simpson from Baltimore.
The addition of Moses at right tackle allows Elijah Vera Tucker, who's their young and promising and talented offensive lineman, to play right guard. Right. But they all have to play and stay healthy.
They have also drafted Olu Fashanu to produce a far more talented and deeper unit than ever before.
Pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, the New York Jets select Olu Fashanu, tackle, Penn State.
And honestly, that's going to be music to the ears of Breece Hall and Garrett Wilson, who have been crying out for offensive competence so that way they can properly unleash their truly elite talent. And look, I mean, if the offensive line can hold up and keep Aaron Rodgers upright, then there's no reason that Breece Hall and Garrett Wilson can't have all-pro years this year because of the output that Aaron Rodgers is going to help them have. And I mean, in that scenario, the Jets ceiling is sky high. We already know the defense is going to be good, and if the offense can match, then I'd put the Jets ceiling at a whopping 14 wins. For their floor, I am going with 11, and I know that might seem high, but this team secured 7 wins with Zach Wilson, Trevor Siemian, and Tim Boyle. Again, all my projections are based on quarterbacks staying healthy, and in that instance, I don't see Rodgers nabbing less than 11 wins for this team. Now, the next team up for me is Miami, coming off of honestly a weird 2023 campaign in which they started absolutely on fire, only to fizzle out in embarrassing fashion in the cold winter weather. And okay, I know it wasn't only the cold that got to them, with several brutal injuries catching up with the team on defense, but you can't deny that this team has some playoff issues to get over. Like, I mean, they were frankly completely unstoppable with Mike McDaniel's confusing pre-snap motions, combining with Tyreek Hill's speed and Tua's quick release to deliver knockout blows before most teams had even got off the bus. However, once defenses started to adjust to this, the points for Miami began to dry up. This season, they've added even more speed to the equation in the form of Jalen Wright, the exciting running back rookie out of Tennessee.
With the 120 pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, the Miami Dolphins select Jalen Wright, running back, Tennessee.
And I mean, this gives Mike McDaniel an embarrassment of riches to work with. And you know that he will have cooked up some wild and wacky play designs to get all his guys in space. And look, there is no which way around it. Mike McDaniel is the key to this Miami team being successful. Like, he's going to have to maximize each player's strength in order to make sure that Miami can have the most amount of wins that they're capable of. But with that being said, also, this team's cold weather issues are well documented as well. Tua's 0-3 in games under 50 degrees at kickoff, and the Dolphins in general are 2-20 from their last 22 games in such conditions. Like, I think it's safe to say, to give the Dolphins the best chance of winning their first playoff game since 2000, they need home field advantage. And to get home field advantage, the offense is going to have to do something special because this defense definitely has its problems. Not only did their superstar defenders Christian Wilkins depart in free agency, but Bradley Chubb and Jalen Phillips, the team's premier pass rushers, are both coming off of serious injuries and are likely going to miss time at the beginning of the season. The pass rush also took another hit when Andrew Van Ginkel departed and when new signing Shaquille Barrett decided to retire out of nowhere just a couple months before the season started. And even with rookie edge defender Chop Robinson in the building, this D-line is completely depleted, and who knows what form Chubb and Phillips will return in after their injuries. Thankfully, the pass rush deficiencies are made up for by excellence in the secondary, with Jalen Ramsey leading a very talented group. Kendall Fuller and Jordan Poyer have come in to bolster the already talented ranks, joining Javon Holland, who has been rock solid at safety ever since he joined the team in 2021. And if Phillips and Chubb can return quickly and play at the high level that they were at, this Dolphins side is in for a serious force to be reckoned with. I honestly think that they are the team best placed to take it, so I'm giving them a ceiling of 13 wins. However, if the D-line does struggle, that will trickle down to the secondary, and we saw how that ended last year. I still think that the offense would be good enough to get 10 wins, but we know that this team needs the home field advantage, and I'm not sure 10 wins is going to get them that. Now, in third place, though, we have another team that needs to get over the hump, but a different kind of hump. Buffalo hasn't had any problems going deep into the playoffs in recent years, but they haven't yet managed to find that missing piece to get them into the big game. Unfortunately, this is not the year that they get the job done in my estimation either. They're going to be my third place team, which I even feel more strongly about now given the fact that Matt Milano had a recent injury. But it's all not doom or gloom for the Bills though. Their defensive line remains formidable with talents like Greg Rucia, Von Miller, AJ Epinesa, Ed Oliver, and Daquan Jones leading the charge. The secondary too still benefits from the services of Rasul Douglas, Taylor Rapp, and Christian Benford. There is talent there for sure, but the loss of seasoned veterans like Jordan Poyer, Tre'Davious White, and Leonard Floyd still definitely have to hurt a lot. The promotion of Bobby Babich to defensive coordinator is another key storyline too. He's proven his worth as the team's linebacker coach over recent years, but the top job comes with its own set of challenges. While Babich's unit should still be above average, it may take some time to fully adjust to these changes in personnel both on and off the field. But that's the thing though, is it's not just the defense that lost key figures also. With Stephon Diggs and Gabe Davis now going to other AFC rivals, Josh Allen has a much less enticing group of pass catchers to work with, such as Khalil Shakir, who does look like the talented guy out of the slot, and Dalton Kincaid is a fantastic breakout candidate at tight end, but I don't see who wins downfield for Josh Allen. And sure, I'm sure that he can do a lot of things with his legs, and even with James Cook standing next to him, a lot of that stuff can happen with just those two guys right there. But I really just think that the loss of those two guys that just honestly would always win downfield is going to be a major loss and take a really big toll on the Bills this year. Those issues are compounded even further by the injury to Curtis Samuel, who is week to week with a turf toe. And I like the signing and think that he can be another receiving option who can help out, but the injury to start the season is far from ideal, and he fits the mold of another guy who will do most of his damage on short and intermediate routes. The guy that's tasked with winning downfield though is going to be rookie Keon Coleman, but I will believe that when I see it. Yes, he can make brilliant contested catches, but winning with physicality doesn't always translate to the NFL. Honestly, he's not an effective separator at all, and I have serious doubts about what he can offer Josh Allen as a serious downfield target. Fundamentally, when Josh Allen needs to throw a ball deep downfield, who's going to be his go-to guy? Are they just going to rely on throwing a jump ball up to Keon Coleman and hoping he comes up with it? Because I don't really see that working out a lot this year. It used to be Diggs that they could rely on, but I really don't see a solid replacement that's going to fill that gap so far. And hopefully Keon Coleman can prove me wrong and develop into that receiver this year, but I just really don't see the separation that he's going to get, but again, maybe he'll prove me wrong. And then, I mean, when you combine that with the departures on defense, I'm going to give the Bills a ceiling of 10 wins. They're not completely out of the equation, mainly because of Josh Allen at quarterback, but I think this is the first time in 5 years that they won't win the division title. On top of that, their floor, I think, is going to be around 8 wins. I know it's a small variance, but Josh Allen is just so good that he can pinch a few wins and elevate the floor on his own. Now, in 4th place in an otherwise fairly competitive AFC East, we have the New England Patriots. I mean, in this new era of the Patriot way, it's hard to see how they don't finish in 4th place, to be honest. I mean, despite the low expectations, this season is going to be pivotal for the Patriots, primarily because of their new quarterback, Drake May. The last few years of quarterback rotation have been painful and led to some dismal outings, so fans will be desperate to see May settle in nicely. And I think it's easy to argue that May should be out there right away because that's what I believe, honestly, and I think that he should be out there day one, but I'm going to argue from the other side right now just to try and prove a point that there's also a side of maybe sitting him for the whole year, or at least most of the year, and letting him develop on his own when they can, kind of in garbage time and through practice and watching Jacoby Brissett play. Like, I mean, at 21 years old, the last thing that this team should do is dent his confidence and instill bad habits. I mean, he doesn't have exactly the most exciting of offenses to work with Jalen Polk, Javon Baker, and Pop Douglas. And I mean, honestly, that's just an intriguing group on paper, but that's only if they hit their potential. And at the same time, the more likely scenario is that the lack of dynamic weapons becomes a constant talking point throughout the season. An even bigger issue, though, is how terrible this offensive line is, though. Like, it is horrendous. They're ranked 28th in PFF's preseason offensive line rankings, and the preseason showings have been far from convincing. A lack of protection for a rookie quarterback who is trying to adjust to the speed of the NFL while also playing with rookie wide receivers sounds like an absolute recipe for disaster. The Patriots should get a look at their guy, but only when he's ready and the situation is right. The defense is comfortably the better unit entering the 2024 season, but some preseason hiccups have dented the outlook somewhat. Christian Barmore, the very talented up-and-coming defensive tackle, received a very scary diagnosis of blood clots recently, which has thrown his 2024 season status up in the air. It appears that there is a very real chance that he will miss the year. And I mean, obviously the hope is that he recovers fully, and we can all just really be thankful that the doctors caught the issue in time, but the on-field impact will be significant for New England. Barmore broke out in 2023 to the tune of the team leading 8.5 sacks, and he had just signed a 4-year, $84 million extension. The pass rush then took another hit when Matthew Judon was traded to the Atlanta Falcons. And I mean, Judon has been New England's best defensive player over the recent years. He registered 28 sacks across the 2021 and 2022 seasons before a season-ending injury scuppered the 2023 season. Even then, he managed to log 4 sacks in just 4 games played. Like, I mean, he's going to be another big loss on the defensive line, and they will now be praying that the sophomore breakout for Keon White comes true. Another second-year player to watch is Christian Gonzalez, the team's first-round cornerback from the 2023 draft. He got off to a great start as a rookie before getting injured. Hopefully he can return to similar form and headline a talented secondary along with safety Jabril Peppers and cornerback Jonathan Jones. And I mean, honestly, this is just going to be really fascinating to see how the Patriots handle this whole thing now that this being the first season without Bill Belichick on the sidelines. And honestly, I think it really opens up their results of how bad or how good they can be this year because he's no longer there. There are some talented players on offense and on the defensive side of the ball, but overall, I really do think that the big name departures and just the change of scheme are still going to have an effect on this team this year. Then on offense, who really knows how good or how bad they can be? They have a bunch of rookies and young talent on that side of the ball, but again, it really just comes down to how good or how bad that offensive line is, because Drake May, as we've seen in the preseason, looks fantastic, but on the other end too, the offensive line has just looked horrendous. So I really do think it comes down to quarterback play to see the results of this team. Honestly, I put their ceiling at 6 wins and their floor at 2, which means they are in with a good shot at another top draft pick in the 2025 draft. But aside from New England, honestly, I do feel that they are probably the worst team in this division and not going to make the playoffs. But aside from them, this division is very, very competitive, and any of those top 3 teams can win this division. But as always, give me your record predictions down below. Who do you think is going to win this division? I do think it is going to be the Jets as long as they can stay healthy, but I don't think that the Dolphins or the Bills can't win it either. It really just comes down to quarterback play, health, and a lot of question marks on all these teams. So make sure, as always, if you guys did enjoy the content, that you like, comment, and subscribe. And as always, I will catch you guys in the next one.